This week, if you don't truly know the time between money exiting your bank account and money coming back into your bank account, keep on listening as we teach you how to track it better. Welcome to the Profit Cash Growth Podcast. This is the podcast for 6 and 7 figure business owners who are looking to grow a financially successful business. My co-host, Claire Hancott, is a finance director, chartered accountant and entrepreneur. And every week, I'll be exploring guidance and frameworks designed to help you increase your profits, improve your cash flow and grow your business.
We've just got all technical, haven't we?
What do you mean?
We've got a clapperboard now.
You're so excited because you've got a clapperboard to help us marry the video with the sound and everything else that's going on. Because we learnt it this week, didn't we, in a professional podcast studio? Well, actually, he used a clap, like clapping his hands.
Yeah, he clapped his hands and he said, I need to get a clapperboard.
So I went on Amazon, as the amateurs that we are, and just literally bought a clapperboard for a tenner. And it's like, you're like so excited. You're like, I'm a director now. This is going to be great.
Yeah, it feels a bit professional, doesn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, last night I went on a walk, didn't I? I came back this morning and said to you that...
you didn't come back this morning.
No.
You did go on an all-night walk.
No, I came back last night, but this morning I said to you that halfway through the walk, I was listening to a podcast about AI and agentic AI and how I need to be doing more with agents and things like this. So then I asked my Claude to create me a podcast that I could listen to in the last 45 minutes of my walk, knowing everything they know about me and the businesses that I run and how I would practically implement agentic AI quickly and what that would look like. And it did it, and it's really good. I said, what shocked me is that it's quite scary because I forget. I don't feel like, I know it sounds crazy, I feel like I don't always do that much in a week, but like, it basically repeated back to me what I do and what I'm responsible for and all the plates I'm spinning. And the output that comes out of me, and I was like, oh my goodness. And it was insane. It's like, you do this, you run this company, you do this company, you produce a podcast, you do this, you got this software company, and you do this. And I'm just like, then it's like, you can use it to this and this and this and this way, you get your advantage. And you just said to me, oh my God, that's a great way if you understand how much I do every week, isn't it? So what did you do this on the way here?
We had a 5-minute day in the life of, or a week in the life of Claire.
Week in the life of Claire in 5 minutes.
It was crazy, wasn't it? It was a bit chaotic.
Next. It was like that just constantly, wasn't it? Anyway, talking about AI, I saw something this week as well that was really interesting. This was more like a jokey meme thing, and it was somebody's WhatsApp. They basically set AI to book them a doctor's appointment. Because they're using an AI assistant, and this was just funny because this was the text. It said, "Can you book me a doctor's appointment?" And then it moves on to the AI. So AI texts them back and says, "I'm on it." Then it says, "Ringing." Then it said, "Someone answered." Then it said, "That was actually recording, but it's playing music now. Humans like music, so it must be a good sign." Then it said, "How long is this song?" Then it said, "Finally, someone's talking." Then it said, "Never mind, it was the same recording as before." Then it said, "I hate this song." Then it said, "How sick are you? Think you can tough this one out?" And then it said, "Actually, forget all this. I'm just going to research being a doctor instead. Hold on, I'll do some research."
Yeah, that's quite apt, really, isn't it?
I thought it was really, really quite funny. The other things I heard this week that I thought was crazy is somebody... What?
Before you say this, because we have a WhatsApp group where we share ideas about what we're going to talk about in the podcast. And I was sitting at my desk yesterday Friday afternoon, and what popped up was free-range children. So please do explain, Simon, because I asked you what the hell you were doing to come up with that, and you said I had to wait.
I can't remember all the detail around it, but basically there's this like movement. It was an American podcast. So they were talking about like how people think they've gone too far with how they're kind of putting barriers or what is it called, guardrails around their children as they grow up and various things, and the children are experiencing the world and all the rest of it. So there's this movement to giving children a bit more free reign, so to speak, about to go out places, various things. And this company's built like I think it's called Tin Can phone or something like that. They basically created these kids' phones that are like, they're dumb phones that just you can just call them and that's it. And you just give...
So just like a mobile phone, not a smartphone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what we grew up with.
Yeah, and it's just so that they can still get hold of parents and know where they are. And I think there's like GPS tracking built into it as well. So the parent can know where they are on their phone.
No internet, basically.
No internet.
I mean, we can just turn the internet off on iPhones, but
we
okay.
We can't. But human behaviour means we can't do that. Like that's like saying all the things we can do. We know. Somebody said to me this week as well that I thought was a fair quote. It's like we all know the things. We always know the things we need to do. We just don't know how to do them. Like that's the reality. We don't know how to stay consistent with doing them. We all know we should eat less food. because we'll lose weight if we eat less food, but we don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's that kind of thing. Same thing with the phone thing. So anyway, this movement is called like free range children, a bit like free range chickens. Like, they're just talking about like this movement about children becoming more free range. And I just thought, I've never heard that saying before, and it was really, really random. But on this same podcast, they also talked about, we talked a few weeks ago about, would you take the time machine back? And you said, yeah, I'll go back to the 90s and whatever else. And this woman was just like, yeah, but would you? Because you talked a lot about like quality of life and things like that. But just think about the hassle as well. Because she was like,
about the simplicity of life.
Yeah, but quality. She was like, okay, so I've now not, so you've got the simplicity, but all of a sudden you've got to buy a sat nav. You've got to go out and buy an alarm clock for your bedroom. You've got to go and buy a Walkman if you want to listen to music. You've got to go and buy a camera if you want to take a photo. You've got to go and buy a calculator if you want to calculate. You've got to now carry all your bank cards with you. And for you as a lady, you're probably going to need a portable mirror, because I bet you use your phone for all that now as well. All of a sudden, you've got all this inconvenience, and I'm only scratching the surface. I mean, when you think about it, I'm sure there's loads more.
No, right. Firstly, I've never used my phone for a mirror. I've never understood that at all. Just look at a bloody mirror.
But you use it to go everywhere. Imagine you didn't have Google Maps tomorrow.
Right. How joyful would your life be waiting for Christmas or birthday to receive one of those as a gift?
Well,
we don't have joy anymore. We don't have joy anymore through presents, do we? Because we have everything that we want already. And it was so good having to wait for a Christmas or birthday to receive something or save up for something. And I think you see this as an inconvenience, but I'm like, yes, I would have a sat nav, and I would my birthday's in December, so I would long for a sat nav for all year long, and I'd get it probably from somebody for a joint Christmas and birthday present, and it would be the best thing, and it would bring so much joy to my life.
Well,
so you're looking at it like a negative.
Now. They're waiting all year to get their iPhone, or they're waiting all year to get the Xbox game or anything.
No, nobody's weirdly doing that. And you get everything on subscription now. So you want something and you just go and sign up to a subscription app for 12 months for £10 and you can have it now.
Didn't all that all existed in the 90s as well? In fact,
it didn't.
My mum and dad's age still had the buy it now, have it later. Like, it was called buy it on the never never in the 60s, wasn't it?
No, that was like for home appliances stuff. I'm talking about, like, as a youngster, maybe a teenager or a young adult, when you wanted something, you had to wait for it. You had to long for it. You had to really, really want it.
So you want the inconvenience back of having to call a taxi, not know when it's going to turn up, it turn up 10 minutes late, stand out on the street in the cold waiting for it. You want all that back?
I just think mentally we were so much healthier and so much happier. I think we appreciated small things in life, and we've lost the ability to do that.
The overarching point you're trying to make is that actually, by making all of our lives so much more convenient and comfortable, you just think that's a bad thing overarchingly.
Yeah, I think we're humans. We're meant to be in pain and we're meant to suffer. So that
freaking out, I certainly am living with you. Come on.
We are. Look at wildlife. They're in pain and they suffer all the time.
Let's move on to this week's news story of the week. So this week, Claire, we're going to talk about the M6 toll road because I saw this post.
Jesus, please. If anyone's thinking I'm going to switch off, just don't.
Just don't, please. Let's talk about the M6 toll road. So we probably all used it. It's a handy 27 miles of less traffic and smooth roads. But this chap said when he downloaded his receipts for Friday, he couldn't feel that he couldn't help but feel like he'd been stung by the £12 now access per car. Here's the numbers. It was estimated that last financial year they were generated £381,000 a day. That was it when it was at £10.40 a car, right? Before the price increases just happened. That's £139 million a year. With the increase to £12, that will now increase to £470,000 a day, £173.9 million a year. Now, I stopped for a second here and paused with my business.
Billion or million?
Million. So I stopped with my...
Okay, yeah, keep going.
Is these numbers wrong?
No.
Oh, right. I stopped and paused for a second here and drew a line and thought, I'm reading something at the moment about the power of pricing. And often it's about the power of putting a pound on your price or something that everybody says, if I put my prices up, I'm going to lose all my customers or I'll lose half my customers and whatever else. And this is the power of pricing, because if last year they could operate at a profit, let's say arguably at £139 million, and they put their prices up and that's jumped their turnover to £173.9 million, all of that additional amount goes straight to the bottom line, right?
Now, it's interesting that you say this because when I used to work in corporate, when I was the finance manager, financial controller, my job every year was to travel around our branches. I think at one point we had about 20 branches. My job was to travel around the branches and do like finance workshops with the teams there who were essentially selling and setting discounts and pricing for customers, and to talk to them about strategies and give them information that would make them make better decisions about the price and discounts they were given. The most powerful thing I did every single year. And once I mastered this, I just used to go and talk to people about this and pretty much this only. And I would show them the impact of 1% discount on the profit. Yeah. Because as a big business like that, we were making 5% profit. Yeah. So if we could for every 1% discount we didn't give, it would increase our profit by 20%.
Yeah, and that's the difference.
And that
when
alone,
you drop your price or you drop your fees or whatever else, well, it's the opposite. When you put it up, it's so powerful. When you drop it,
it's 20%.
You can drop it 1% and it's 20% on the bottom line, and people just don't get that and don't do the maths and realize how painful it is actually in their pocket at the end of it.
And that was we started having this push for when we looked statistically at the quantity of discounts that were at like 5, 10, 15, 20, like these nice round numbers. And we were like, why did you go for 20? And they said, well, the customer asked for it. And we said, do you think the customer would have accepted 19%?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, probably. And so then that became this metric that we needed this nice even spread of discounts so that people weren't going with these like 5, 10, 15%, because you're giving away so much every time.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've also got another little finance tip linked to the M6 toll, actually.
Have you? Do you want to finish my point first?
No, we're going to move on. We're going to move on after this.
No, not moving on, because I haven't got to the punchline of the conversation.
Let me give you my little finance tax tip. So there's a little finance rule around claiming VAT on certain expenses, and typically it's like toll roads and things like that where you don't have to have a receipt for it. So it has to be, generally it's only privately owned toll roads and things like that that have got VAT on them. But if it's VAT registered and you don't have the receipt, you can still claim it as long as it's under £25. Just check it out, make sure you get the VAT number from the company's website, and you can claim the VAT back.
That's in tax law specific to toll roads?
Yes, because a lot of toll roads you don't get a receipt from.
Wow. God, that is interesting. Anyway, so they're going to make next year with the price increase £173.9 million a year. When the M6 toll road opened in 2003, what was the cost per car, Claire? So they're about to put the price up to £12. 2003 is how many years ago is that? So 20 years, maybe like 22 years.
£2?
Yeah, it was £3 a car.
That's not yes, but okay.
How do you think that is an acceptable price increase from over 20 years, £3 to 12? So that's, what's that? 400%, isn't it?
I think that £12 sounds a lot to use a toll. And when you compare it to European tolls, it's also a lot as well.
Yeah.
So actually, I think it's extortionate. And whenever we go up that way, generally it's a tourist trip that we're doing, maybe a weekend away or something like that.
Yeah.
Then would we go through the M6 toll? No, we tend to go the long route.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. And actually, we work with quite a few logistics companies, and they will generally, the drivers are prohibited from using the M6 toll unless it's going to result in a night out.
Okay.
Because then the night out costs a minimum of £25. So
it's interesting when it stops, because the M6 toll road's still obviously privately owned by a bunch of an investment company. They actually own it, I think, till 2054. So they can operate the road till 2054, after which point the road goes into public ownership. So they've really got to milk this, haven't they? They've only got another 25, 30 years to go. But it's interesting that, we haven't even got to the 26 numbers, but they went from making like 6 million profit in 22, 29 million in 2023. Their profit numbers are going to be pretty big, aren't they? And it's interesting that they can put the price up that much. And obviously people, as you just said, will be not using it, but their bottom line still keeps going up.
But I think people will need to use it because there's more cars are on the road. And, with Andy Burnham's number 10 North, there's going to be a huge amount of people schlepping up to Manchester now, isn't there, to meet with the Prime Minister?
Now they've canned HS2 going up there.
Exactly.
So it's even worse. They've got to definitely get round Birmingham, because they can only get the train to Birmingham now.
Exactly. Now, we went and visited another bridge the other week, didn't we, in Bristol? What was the bridge? The Clifton Suspension Bridge. And it's got a little museum there. And it was quite fascinating, actually, because it was all about the history of how they built this bridge over, I think it was probably over 60, 90 years or something it took to build this bridge, because it kept running out of money.
It took 40 years to get planning permission, I think, something.
Yeah.
About the same as today.
It then got me thinking about how people can start to drive different revenue streams into their business in the most unconventional ways. And you wouldn't think that the Clifton Suspension Bridge would be a toll bridge, but then also have a little museum. Would you visit an M6 toll museum?
Oh, for goodness sake.
I'd absolutely love it. I would love it. To go behind the scenes of all the workings, all the digital tech, how many cars go through every day. It'd be absolutely fascinating, wouldn't it? Don't laugh at me.
I'm glad we've got this on video today and we're filming this, because now when we do the shorts and you say that, we can capture my reaction. This is going to be exceptional. For those who are listening, we're actually hooked up another camera today, so they've got my face on there, which is terrible. Oh, yeah, I think you're going to go on your own. Anyway, I think hashtag M6, hashtag £12 scandal. That's what this says at the bottom. Andy Burnham, do you fancy building an M6 Toll Plus that runs parallel with it so that we can stop people getting ripped off? We'll see. Right, let's move on to this week's deep dive. We're going to talk about cash flow. So, Claire, going round and round in cash flow cycles, today we're going to talk about
the customer journey cash cycle.
The customer journey cash cycle.
Yes.
God, you've made that sound really, really complicated. Is it complicated?
No, actually, it's probably one of the less technical cash flow things that there are going. It's really easy for business owners to calculate. And why this has come up is because I think it was last week, maybe the week before last, we spoke about some businesses that have been looking at getting funding and the reasons why I suggested they didn't actually get funded. And then we were talking about why particularly service-based businesses or e-com businesses, anything like that, might struggle from a cash flow perspective. And it's often because when businesses are told to look at their cash flow from a customer perspective, they're always told to look at their invoice-to-cash, so their debtor days, how long it takes from getting an invoice paid to from issuing an invoice to getting that cash in the bank.
Yeah.
That's what traditional accountants focus on. That's what most accounting systems will talk to you about. It's called your DSO, your debtor days, anything like that. It's all means the same sort of thing. But that's only a very small portion of the cash flow cycle. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is the different steps and how you can use it, more importantly, when you're looking to grow.
Yeah, this is quite apt for me. I'm all ears today because at the moment on our software company, Spread.finance, we're at the early stages of doing meta ads and various other things. So I'm acutely aware of the exploitation of money going out of the bank on marketing, which I well know, just like every other business that we've ever done, won't pay back for probably 3 to 6 months.
Yes.
And that's the crux of it. So go on then, talk us through it. So number one, where does this start in the cash flow cycle?
So what you've kind of hit the nail on the head there. And there is often an outlay of cash way, way, way before money actually flows into your business.
Yeah.
And if you're only tracking this from the point that you get an invoice issued, then you're missing everything that happens before.
Totally missing the point.
Yeah. And that's why if you're not looking at how long your cash cycle is, then you can end up in a lot of trouble, because profit cash growth, for example, we're quite a high ticket, accountancy firm. That's the reality of the sort of services that we offer. We're quite a premium price compared to a traditional high street accountant, because we offer a different premium service.
That's not technically true, because the testimonial you got in yesterday said that you were too cheap and that the value for money was exceptional. So actually, you've got to be careful that you tell yourself that, haven't you?
Look, as a comparison, it's as a comparison, isn't it? So as a comparison, traditional accountant, people think we're expensive, but it's because we offer a completely different service.
Well, yeah, you can't compare.
It's kind of what I'm trying to say.
Can't compare to
anyway, because of that, it's quite a commitment for a business owner to sign up with us. They want to know us well. They want to understand what we're really about. They want to really feel comfortable that they can trust us and that they're going to get what they're paying for out of us. Sure. And so for that reason, we have quite a long lead to cash cycle. So actually it takes us probably about 3 to 4 months of what I've referred to as like courting people. So speaking to people on LinkedIn, gaining their trust, showing the value that we bring to people. We do all of that for free. And that is pretty much my full-time job, and I'm quite expensive. And so because of that, there's a cost to my business of doing that. And if we're not aware of what that cost is, and I want to grow, say I'm like, well, okay, we're getting to the point where it can't just be me anymore. We need to bring somebody else in to do this. How much is that going to cost us, and how long do we have to fund that gap for before we actually start seeing a return on it? And that's what we're going to go through today and figure out how you can calculate that.
Cool.
Okay. So we're just going to break it down into 4 simple steps here, because as a business owner, you should be able to go away and work out each of these as an individual item, and then you put them together, and that tells you how long you need to fund the business for. Okay. So you can either do this in two ways. I actually find this easier to work as a number of days as the starting point. And then what we'll do is we'll say, okay, our customer journey cash cycle is 100 days long. And we know that on average, it takes us X amount to run our business for a day. That's typically what I do because I'm a very people heavy business. So my costs are pretty much the same every day. We have rent going out, we have insurance, and we have people. And that's pretty much all of our costs.
Yeah.
Okay. So number one would be to identify your lead generation to quote. Okay. So that's that very first thing that you do. So it might be putting a LinkedIn post out. It might be putting a marketing advert out, like a Facebook ad or a Google ad or something. It might be generating a website. Whatever is your process of bringing leads into your business, understand the point that very starts to the point that you can give a customer a quote.
Do you mean the point where it starts if it's an expenditure, not just free stuff?
No, anything, because time is cost.
Quick question. Do you trust the numbers your accountant sends you? Or in fact, are they even sending you what you need at all? If your business turns over £1 million or more, you're already in the top 10% of UK companies. But here's the problem. Most accountants are built for the other 90%. They're built for compliance, not for businesses making big decisions on tight margins. So if you've stopped trusting your numbers enough to make confident decisions, head over to profitcashgrowth.com and book a discovery call. Let's get your business back in the room with people who actually understand it. Okay.
So my time in the business, what's the very first thing that I do?
Not strictly, is it? Because what if you've got like a massive automated email campaign going out, it runs in the background, it costs nothing.
Who's going to set it up?
No, but that's a one-off setup cost and then it's done for years. It could just run.
Yeah.
So
from the point of actually like generating that lead in the business. Okay, so sorry. Let's take one-off costs out of here. So if you're paying for adverts, if you're paying for like system setup, anything like that, take that out of that because we're going to add that on at the end.
But I guess my point is that it needs to be a lead. It's not the lead you're tracking, it's the generation of the lead. Yeah. And the generation of the lead needs to be coupled with a cost, be that a people cost or a physical expenditure advertising cost. Yes. Otherwise, there's nothing to put down.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So if you're just like pinging emails out in the background and nobody's actually doing anything, then that's not really part of your cycle.
No, because there's no cash involved.
It's like it's a human intervention or a system that you're paying for or something like that. We need to try and work out what the cost is in this process.
Yeah. Okay. What about if you talked about a people cost, but if you didn't do that lead generation, you just switched it off tomorrow, we wouldn't save the money, so the cash doesn't change for you. So
no,
how are you attributing that as real cash? Because this isn't about P&L numbers. This is about cash flow cycles, isn't it?
Yes, and this is where you do need to apply some judgment to your business and think: is there actually cash going out of my business at this period of time or not? But the other thing to remember is that if you've had an initial outlay, that's when you need to start this cycle. So your example there of the meta ads.
Yeah.
Okay, you might think, okay, I set that meta ad up and it started running on Monday. And by Friday, I get a lead and I don't do anything in that meantime. Okay, fine. But we're trying to work out that time that's gone by from spending that £1,000 on Monday to getting money in your bank. That's what we're trying to work out here. So it doesn't matter whether you're not doing anything. We're just trying to figure out what that cash flow gap is, because at the moment you're cash down and we need to find out how long that's going to last for, because as you ramp those ads up and as that compounds, if you're spending £100 a day, £100 a day doesn't seem too much, but if it's going to take you 6 months to generate any cash, that's a problem. Yeah. So we're trying to figure out that entire cycle from that first point of having a cost to your business, and that could be an ad, it could be somebody's time. There is a cost.
Okay. And how are you mapping out? So for most people, when they start spending marketing, they don't have any idea whether it's going to, most marketing, you don't even know if it's going to give you a return. It's an experiment.
Yep.
So how are you mapping out that cash flow cycle if you've got no idea whether cash is even going to come in on the back of it?
Yeah, so this is for businesses that have been doing a marketing process for some time and are looking to grow.
Okay, so they have have every one of their metrics right through to the customer acquisition cost. So they know what those metrics look like. They know what they flow through, and then they build a cash flow metric around. This isn't about experimental marketing money.
No, experimental, if you're doing something for the first time and you don't know what the return's going to be, then of course course, this is a good process to say, well, actually, we think this is going to happen, and then you can benchmark yourself against it afterwards. But if you're doing something for the first time, then we tend to take a slightly different approach to it, and we say, what are my trigger points for actually I'm in a hole here and we need to take some action?
Yeah.
Versus what we're trying to do here is say, we know that our marketing processes are working, but what we want to do now is understand how much cash we need to ramp that up. It's not just a case of saying, well, we spend £5,000 a month at the moment on Facebook ads and we could double that to 10,000. What would that actually do properly to your business from a cash flow perspective? It's not just the increased marketing cost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
So you've identified what is lead generation that has a true cash cost against it. That's where we're at to start.
Yes. So take that point that you very first outlay some sort of cash in your business, and it could be paying for ads, paying for a system, paying for something, or paying for a person to do something
that you're expecting a return from.
Exactly. Yeah. To the point that you get a quote.
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be phase one. And that should be something that you're tracking in your marketing anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2 would be, how long does it take you to get that quote converted to an actual order?
Yeah.
Okay. For some people, it may be instant. It may just be like a one click and somebody accepts it pretty much
if
instantly.
you're in e-commerce.
Exactly.
Generally, it's one click.
Yeah.
There, yeah.
Okay. Number 3, you're going to have a look at your order to invoice. And this one in particular.
Now, I'm laughing because I feel like in this day and age, I don't understand why that would even be a thing, because it would just be system generated anyway and it'd be instant. But you're going to tell me something different, aren't you?
You would not believe the amount...
Because I told you the other week that 45 million faxes are sent today. So you're going to tell me something really different.
You would not believe the amount of people that we work with that don't raise invoices the minute they deliver something or do something. Like, from our perspective, we have this like rule in profit cash growth that as soon as we quote somebody and somebody accepts a quote, that invoice goes in our system as draft. So literally the minute that's done, it's not this big job to create invoices. We literally just go and click approve and send.
Yeah.
And that's somebody's job to do at the end of every day, is look at all of the draft invoices, what can be sent out to the clients. The reason we do that is because the quicker we get those invoices out, the quicker the cash is going to come in.
Yeah.
The amount of businesses though, like, it's month end, what we're on? We're on the 8th of August, the 9th of August today. And there are people that are still telling me we haven't been able to close their month end for July because they haven't yet finished their July invoicing.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's like 9 days that your customer will not have that invoice, not be able to raise a query with you. This is from an operational perspective. If you have any issues with collecting cash from your customers, start there. Get your invoices out.
I think this is so apt for all businesses in terms of administration, and why the lowest hanging fruit to getting cash in your business quicker is administration. Because in the estate agency that we own, like, the real example of this that we spent our life, it's like, how quickly do you get the memorandum of sale out to the solicitor? And that's the gap between you've accepted the offer and you need to do some validation on the buyers and sellers, between getting the paperwork to the solicitor, because nothing starts happening until the solicitor gets that paperwork. So the wheels don't start turning. And honestly, that can be weeks. That can be 3-4 weeks sometimes, because buyers, sellers stick their hands, they're just set on they're not being pushed along. So actually, like, getting that from 4 weeks to 1 week or 3 days makes the difference between that transaction being 16 weeks or being, 20 weeks. It's huge.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with invoicing, that gap. In fact, there's an argument to say the gap in anything in your business is all adding to that ability to get cash in your bank, isn't it? We could do a whole podcast, couldn't we, on looking at all of the different things that slow down getting cash in your bank.
Yeah. Do you know what? And I did a call with somebody yesterday, and it was not the typical sort of work that we do, but I know them personally, and they were saying, Claire, we just really need some help. We've moved to this bigger ERP system. I think they're like a 20 million business, and they're like, we just need some help automating our finance function, because as we're growing, we used to have this backlog of like 7 days, and now as we've got bigger, that backlog is now 14 days, and before we know it, that backlog's going to be 21 days, and it's like, and then all of a sudden, and was talking to me, it was like invoicing and putting recording customer invoices as paid. And he's like, we've just got such a backlog on those bank transactions because the process is so inefficient that we now don't know what customers owe us, so we can't collect the debt. So now our cash flow is getting out of control. And it's like, that gap will get bigger and bigger and bigger the bigger your business gets.
Yep, absolutely.
And if you accept anything other than instant invoice creation all the time from day one and put a process around that, you will always have this delay in your cash flow.
So annoys me as well, because the reason that people accept doing this slowly and manually forever, because of the upfront pain of the project involved in getting this stuff super slick and automated and then leave it forever. This is just like the definition of work hard enough not to have to work hard.
Do you know what? The simple solution that we had in our business was that when we onboard a client or do a quote for an extra piece of work or anything, as soon as the client accepts that quote, it's then part that we go and set up that invoice. So it's either a recurring template or it's a one-off template and we set it as draft. The reason being because when we're signing a new client or winning even just a little bit of extra work from that client, it's really exciting. We're like, yeah, we've won this, and we want to go and get everything set up and we're eager to do it. At the end of the month, once we've delivered it and we're a bit like jaded and like knackered and trying to get other things done, we don't want to raise invoices. This is the last thing on our mind. So I think also just put something in the workflow when somebody's most likely to be energized and want to do it.
Yeah, agreed. Okie doke. So we've got lead to quote, quote to order, order to invoice.
And then finally, and this will be the easiest one for everybody to get because you can simply turn 0 on and it will give you this number, invoice-to-cash.
Okay.
The time between...
This is your debtor days, isn't it?
This is your debtor days,
This is like the only one that people look at.
Yeah.
And they miss the 3 above it when they're looking at their cash flow cycle.
Exactly. So if we can understand the amount of days in between each of these steps and add them together, then we can see exactly how much time it's going to take us to recoup that marketing outlay.
Right.
Okay. And remember what I said, if we're going to spend £1,000 on day one on our marketing ads and it's going to take us even 30 days to get that money back, fine. Okay. £1,000 get back in 30 days doesn't seem too bad. Okay. But you're not going to spend £1,000 on day one. You're going to spend £1,000 on day one, £1,000 on day two, £1,000 on day three. So all of a sudden you're £30,000 in a hole.
Yeah.
And that starts compounding. And that's why it's really, really important to know this because firstly, you know what you're going to be exposed to before you see any return. And then you touched upon the example of saying, well, if it's experimental, okay, it's like, well, how much are you willing to put in? If you expect your returns to be 5 days, you know that after 5 days, if you're not getting a return, you've got a problem. Okay, if you expect your returns to be 90 days, how are you going to fund it every single day for 90 days? Or are you going to fund it for maybe 2 weeks and then pause it? And you've said, okay, we're not able to check and we're not able to know for 90 days. So we have this period of doing nothing. And that might be quite frustrating, but you don't want to just keep throwing money at something and not knowing if it's going to return or not, because you will get yourself into a cash flow hole.
Love it.
And the final time that we suggest people really use this is when they're looking at growing. So once you know what that number of days is, if you're going to be ramping up your marketing spend or something like that, it's very easy for you to do that calculation to say, okay, how much spare cash do we need to ring fence for this project?
Well, it goes further than that. This is mapping this out at the point where you're ready to grow is absolute gold dust to then take to an investor or a bank.
Yes. Yeah. Very
to raise the funding to put up the front. Because if you come to me as an investor and say, Mr. Simon, I'd like you to invest £200,000 in my business. If you give me £200,000, the return at the end of this will be 1 million, blah, 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 blah. Here's why. And the numbers all mapped out and they link back to a smaller version of that cash flow cycle that already has existed in the last 12 months. I'm in. I'm all in, baby. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, great. Well, I hope you found that useful. I certainly did. And let's move on to this week's Profit Cash Growth Extra. So this week, Claire, I've stolen this off somebody else who recommended it, and I've given it a try. First of all, let me just ask you a quick question. What do you think about the world becoming this like speak to text world? So like, I hear people on really far end said that they think in 10 years' time a keyboard won't even exist. People will just speak at their computer and it will speech to text and that's going to be everything and blah, blah, blah.
I think if you're working at home, then you can pretty much run your day speaking to your computer. Like I do it. If I'm sitting in my office and the door's shut, I will speak to Claude instead of type because it's a lot quicker.
Yeah.
If I've got like this big sort of brain dump of ideas and I want to like get some clarity in it first rather than typing, I absolutely will use the speech. The problem is in an office. And most
people work in an office and don't have a separate office with a door like you do. So it's like
the whole point of being in the office is I want the team to interact. I want them to be listening. So the only way to get around that would be if everybody sat there with a headset, and then there's no point us being in the office together if everybody's sitting with a headset all day long so they can speak to their computer.
Well, they don't need a headset to speak to it. I could speak to it now, but it's more like...
No, it'd be noisy, wouldn't it? It'd be noisy.
But the words are still coming out of my mouth, so I would still be as disruptive whether I've got something over my head or not. What do you mean? I'm talking about you speaking to the computer, not the computer speaking to you.
Yeah, but if you were speaking to the computer and everybody was speaking to the computer, like 4 people in the office were sitting there speaking to the computer, it would be quite noisy. It would be noisy for you. You probably wouldn't be able to think with that much background noise going on.
It's interesting because you say that, but it's never been an issue in call centres, has it?
But they all wear headsets. So that it blocks out the noise, so they can only hear what they can hear. That's the point, isn't it? Because otherwise you won't have that concentration and focus.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's the worrying side that'll happen then in office. We'll all be sat there, we're worried about social thing, and AI brings us to, we now got headsets up. So we actually go to a collaborative space to then just put ourselves in this headset bubble. I don't know. Some people are sure this is going to be the way. Anyway,
why are you talking about this, Simon?
Because I've just installed something called Fluid Voice on my Mac. And this is basically, there's something out, the big one's called Whisperflow that costs money and various other things. And basically you talk at your computer, and it's better than the basic dictation tools, because basically you can talk in real shorthand, you put filler words in, it tidies it all up and transcribes it really tidy. It's just clever and knows what you're trying to say. And this is basically, Fluid Voice is a free open source version of Whisperflow. Basically, you what?
Currently free for how long?
Well, once it's downloaded, you've got it for life anyway. So because you download it it's on your Mac now. So like it's not in the cloud. So so they basically just built this thing totally on the back of the same technology that Whisperflow is built on anyway, which is probably really easy. And you can just download it. I've had a play with it. It's excellent. So you can kind of speak at it and say, "Hi Claire, new line. We need to go to the supermarket, new line." And like it knows what to do. Or make me a grocery list. Bananas, and then it creates it like a list.
Why would you say that? You don't like bananas?
No, it's because it's the example they gave on it. So if you want to have a look at it, unfortunately it's only, I say unfortunately, fortunately for me, it's only for Mac. They don't have a Windows version, so it's just for Mac. And it's called Fluid Voice. If you just Google it, it's a little bit technical to set up, but quite easy if you just follow it through. So thanks for joining us for another week's podcast. As always, if you feel like you might have outgrown your accountant or feel like you just don't trust the numbers anymore, you get in touch with Claire at the team at Profit Cash Growth. That's profitcashgrowth.com, and there you can book a discovery call, or you could do our financial fitness scorecard to find out where your business currently is with its finances and what it might possibly need as well. It's just 3 minutes and 12 questions, and you get a little report. And as always, please rate, review and subscribe to the podcast, and just let any friends know about this episode if they're struggling with their cash flow. And we will see you again next week.